You know what I think is weird? Why are so many Christians anti-Semitic when Jesus was a Jew? The king of the Jews, in fact.
It's a good question. I can't answer that. I don't know.
Like, I mean, if you want to go even more hardcore, like super hardcore, Nazis, most of them are Christian.
Yeah.
Why were you killing Jews if you're the guy you're worshiping?
Yeah.
It's the king of the Jews.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's what they say, blame the Jews for killing Jesus.
Yeah.
But he was the king of them. I mean,
right. Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Doesn't make much sense, but not much does in this world, right?
No, I'll agree with that. Jesus did have some sick abs, though.
Yeah, he did.
And that's white Jesus. If you go black Jesus, ebony Jesus, Nubian king Jesus, those abs were they were popping.
Yeah.
He was cut up.
What about Korean Jesus?
I like Korean Jesus because he's real buff. The only depiction I've seen of him.
Yeah,
that's another thing that's funny. There's so many depictions of Jesus. Like, if you go around the world, every religion or every country has their own depiction of Jesus.
Yeah.
We got Ted Nugent Jesus over here. But you go to Korea, you have Korean Jesus. I don't know any Korean actors off the top of my head.
No, I can't think of any either.
Ooh, you know what? Before we go into this episode, I just wanted to inform you on something I learned today. You might not know this, but apparently after World War II, the Emperor of Japan, when he conceded to the Americans, he offered to force the whole of Japan to revert to Christianity. Or convert to Christianity. And who was was it Wilson? Was he the president at the time?
At the end of World War II?
Truman, not Wilson.
Yeah.
Why did I say Wilson? But Truman turned him down. He said, no, I don't want it if it's forced. I think that's who it was, unless it was one of like the generals or something. I'm pretty sure it was Truman. He just said no.
I think you're right.
But imagine what Japan would be like if he did force. It'd be like civil war, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably.
It'd be fucking crazy. That would.
Wouldn't be
I guess
peaceful.
one thing would change all of history, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah. Oh, there's minor changes made to history that would, everything would be different today.
Oh, another fact about World War II. Hitler was going to kill himself after his first coup on whatever he was fucking trying to overrun the government or something failed. He was going to kill himself. I think he was only 23 years old. And the American he was staying with stopped him.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I learned that today. I wasn't looking these up either. It just popped out, but relates to the topic at hand. I thought that was pretty fucking crazy. It's like we could have got rid of the fucker before he'd even started after his first failure. Because that's one thing like people don't usually gloss over is he did try the whole Nazi shit before and he failed.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was in prison for that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He got in big trouble.
That's when he wrote Mein Kampf.
Mein dog shit.
Yeah. And then, Hitler was like in love with like his niece or cousin or some shit like that. That was like way younger than him.
Yeah.
They had like a thing going.
She was like 13, wasn't she, or something?
Yeah, and she killed herself with his gun.
He was also into poop porn from what I hear.
Yeah, I heard he only had one ball, too. I don't know how true. I don't know if that might be true. I don't know. I heard that's why he was so pissed off, though.
That makes sense. I would also, you know who should have been really most pissed off out of anyone? Charlie Chaplin.
Why is that?
Dude stole his fucking mustache.
Oh, yeah, that is right.
Like, you're the most famous dude in America because of your mustache, and then fucking the worst dude in, like, the world, history of all time, except for maybe, like, I can argue Stalin, but at the time he wasn't considered it.
Right.
And you can say Genghis Khan, but that was so far back, Hitler was the dude.
Yeah.
Clearly big shithead. And here's, I don't know when Chaplin died, but I would hope it was before Hitler got super fucking shitty, but I'm pretty sure he was around in the 50s, so he definitely had to... Well, yeah, I think when he gave that big speech in one of his movies where he was a dictator,
yeah,
he shaved the mustache. He's like, fuck it, not wearing it. And I would say that had to do with Hitler, you'd think.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Because Hitler was a big Chaplin fan.
Some people embrace that mustache. I've had a few... don't want to say friends, acquaintances, though. Like, that would do it on purpose for some reason. They found it, like, funny.
Michael Jordan had it for a while. Remember that Hanes commercial?
Yeah.
On the airplane?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I guess if you're a black guy, that you don't...
Yeah, it doesn't... doesn't really count.
Plus, if you're MJ, you can have any hairstyle you want. You can rock the Kim Jong-un hairstyle. Nobody would say shit. I mean, you get roasted, but nobody's going to say, compare him to a dictator.
It's funny that you brought up Michael Jordan and Kim Jong-un. Because, so teammate Dennis Rodman.
Oh, yeah, D-Rod.
Yeah.
He was deep with He's a fucking weirdo, though.
He was, like, crying when Trump met with Kim Jong-un or some shit. I was like, I don't know. That shit was just... It was corny to me. What are you crying about? The guy's a fucking asshole. Both of them assholes.
There's a lot of assholes in that room.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that, how Rodman got involved with North Korea to begin with, but it was weird.
Yeah, I don't understand how that happened. He was always kind of strange, though. I mean...
He is wearing dresses and shit.
Yeah.
But he was banging Madonna, so...
Yeah, it's wild.
You know what? He was dressing like mumble rappers before mumble rappers were a thing.
Yeah.
My man was ahead of the game.
Yeah, way ahead of his time, man.
He's wearing purses and shit.
He had all the crazy piercings all them motherfuckers have, too, and all that.
Prince Albert. All right. Let's get into this episode where we go down the wormhole. People actually listen to how fucked up is it? People are... they read the title about this being a religious episode.
Yeah.
They come into talking about Dennis Rodman's wiener and Michael Jordan's Hitler mustache. Oh, fuck.
I don't know. It was a good start, though. I liked it.
It's quality. Hey friends, you are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. Spencer's off today. He's out fornicating in a comic book store or something. But I got a special guest today. The Italian stallion himself, Mr. Dominick Welsh. How you doing, sir?
Good, how are you, man?
Wonderful. Dominick's the perfect guy to have on this episode because we're talking Jesus, and he loves Jesus. No, he's a history major. Or was, you graduated, so.
Yeah.
But you know your shit.
I like to think so.
Go wax philosophical on the things I don't know what I'm talking about, which would be helpful in most podcasts. You could be our young Jamie in the future. The production guy sits on the side and just corrects every dumb shit. We look up everything. That's what we need.
I'll do that.
I will pay you in booze, sir.
I can't get enough booze.
Today's episode, we're going to divert off topic super hard. Just so you guys know, but we are doing the top 10 novels about God. This is brought to you by our friends at The Guardian, Mr. Neil Griffiths. That's a interesting last name, Griffiths. I feel like I got speech impediments in his name.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Griffiths. But shout out to Mr. Neil Griffiths. I'll put this in the show notes later so you guys read it because I'm skipping his intro. It's kind of long. We're going to go hop right into the books. But I said we're going to divert from this because while we do read these entries, I would imagine that it's not going to take us very long to get through these.
Yeah. And
I don't know how much we could riff on these or talk about them just because I haven't read probably any of these that I could tell. So we're definitely going to get into some other topics, but we'll try to keep this as least offensive as possible. I mean, if you don't get offended by Nubian Jesus, you might be all right now.
Yeah.
What's worse, Nubian Jesus or Korean Jesus? I think Nubian Jesus gets them.
Yeah, that one got me a little bit. I never heard of that one before.
Never seen the Nubian Jesus?
Nah.
I mean, technically, Jesus was like, if anything, he would look Egyptian probably.
Be more Middle Eastern.
Yeah, well, he's clearly going to be Middle Eastern. That's where he's from.
Yeah.
But some say because he was, Africa, maybe he was black. It's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Nubian Jesus, some people don't like that. I don't know why. What does it matter? You never met the guy. You're not going to meet the guy. Or you might meet the guy, depending on your religion, I guess. But
I mean, you might. But what are you going to do? Get there and not want to be there? Get all pissed off?
I don't want no heaven that got some black Jesus. Send me down to the place with the other guy. As long as I know he got blonde, flowing hair. What's his name? Luscious Lou?
That's what people would... I guarantee you there would be people that did that.
There's a lot of... evangelicals, I would believe, would definitely think something like that.
Oh yeah, you should see some of the Christians not my way. They call themselves Christians, but they hate everyone. Besides white people.
How can you call yourself Christian when you
hate
and go against everything that you're supposed to be taught? Except for hate gays. Okay, maybe that's in the Bible to a degree, but so are a lot of other things you don't follow.
What gets on my nerves with the gay topic, it's like these Christians that they hate gays and everything else. Well, it never says to hate them.
No,
it says don't. I don't know. Involve yourself in shit like that. You're not, and as a Christian, I'm not supposed to lay my beliefs on you and make you feel guilty for not believing the same shit as me either. That's one of the most un-Christian things to do.
Well, like you have the Crusades where you're killing people who don't follow your religion. So what the fucking Bible are you reading?
Yeah, exactly.
I would be interested. I wish I could do a poll, but I don't think it'd go over well, like on Twitter or something, of people that actually read the whole Bible that are Christian.
People pick and choose what they want to read. From what I've seen,
that's what it seems like, and I get it. It's a dry read.
And I was born and raised Catholic. I still am Catholic, but I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of fucked up shit that goes on within that whole. I wouldn't save that for later on. Whenever
we'll get to that, but I will say there's nothing wrong with condemning. You can be a Christian or a Catholic or a Muslim or whatever. You can condemn the things that are fucked up about your religion. Yeah. You don't have to follow them, turn a blind eye to them. That's unnecessary.
Somebody that we know, likes to defend everything the Catholic Church does and tries to, say certain shit isn't true when, you can't, the shit that came out, that was last August with the whole Catholic churches in Pennsylvania covering up all the child molestation and shit. Just fucked up. I've been to church once since, and it was for my godson's baptism. So
you can't defend that.
I won't go back. How am I supposed to go somewhere and they're going to put judgment on me? This guy's going to listen to my confessions and shit, all the shit I did wrong.
Yeah, cast judgment upon you while you're fingering some kid's butthole in the back. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's fucked up.
We'll go into that. Like I said, folks, we're going to definitely be diverting from this list, but you know what? Before we insult everybody's religion, let's at least read the article.
Let's get it.
I feel bad for the Christians that were listening. We're like, oh, it's going to be a nice, wholesome. It's not. You knew that coming in. If you listen to this podcast before, you know that.
This religion never goes over smoothly.
That's the problem. You can't have a debate or a discussion about it with somebody taking it personal and getting their feelings hurt. And if you want to have a discussion about something or a debate about your religion, especially say you're going against an atheist. Yeah. The reason a lot of Christians or atheists even, I feel like they're both losers because they both go into it thinking they're 100% right. The other one's 100% wrong, and then they fight about it, and then nobody goes away taking it. They just want to spill their message without receiving a message.
Absolutely.
All right, number one. Again, I'll remind you of the topic. Top 10 novels about God. Fucking 20 minutes of ranting about fucking Kitty Diddler priest. Oh, God. Number one, The Gospels, translated by Richmond Lattimore. Blasphemy, number one. In choosing Lattimore's secular translation, no columns, chapters, or verses, those are very hard reads in my opinion. Those are dry. I have problem reading things like Homer or something in the poetic form when it just kind of flows because where do I break off if I want to?
Right.
But anyway, I count this as a work of fiction rather than revealed truth. Jesus as incarnate God is complicated, irritable, demanding, charismatic, much like Yahweh in the Old Testament. By the end of Gospels, he has become a man with a deeper confidence in his destiny and yet more of a mystery to us. It is not surprising that Christians who lose their faith in God seldom lose their faith in Jesus. That's a really good point. I do know a lot of Christians who fell out of and Catholics, like you were stating, who fell out of the religion but not the belief.
Right.
And I think that's a really important distinction to make because you could believe something and not follow, the core where it stems from necessarily.
And that's probably how I am, and my family's like that too with all that shit that went on. But yeah, that is a good point that the author made. And
if you look at Christian values, just the morals that you love everyone, love thy neighbor, take in your immigrants that have come from faraway land, these things if you just took away those messages, it doesn't matter the religion. That is just how you should be as a person.
Right.
That'll help you live a better life. And a lot of the reason why people fall into religion, not necessarily to begin with, because I feel like a lot of people are just born into religion. They don't have a choice necessarily.
Yeah.
But the reason why people stay into religion and why they might find it later is the sense of community that you get is very important, which you don't get in a lot of aspects of modern life anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Because most of us don't know our neighbors if we're from even like, I don't know my neighbors too well. I met them, but I don't hang out with them. I don't like, hey, Dawn, what's like? I don't do that shit. A lot of, especially from bigger cities, you don't know anybody on your block, maybe. So you don't have a sense of community.
And especially living in this day and age, everybody's glued to technology and shit. You're definitely not getting to
separate you even further.
You know what I mean? So in a sense, religion could be helpful. You know, if you're sending kids to Sunday school or whatever, and they get to know other kids, shit like that. But
well, like the deepest community pools in the United States are the Hasidic Jews in like New York and places like that. The Amish,
right?
To a fucked up degree, because I don't agree. Like, there's few religions I'll shit on just openly because, again, I don't care what you believe. Yeah. It's your right as an American to believe these things, and as long as you're not hurting anybody, I'll respect that. But Scientology is a cult, in my opinion. I don't think that is a religion. That is a cult. But they do clearly have a sense of community, though it's very forced, again, from birth a lot of times, where you don't have a choice, but you can't get out.
I mean, they'll try to
that's what makes you. That's what makes it a cult. You can't get out.
Hey, have you ever watched that special? I can't remember what.
The one on the Leah Remini one or the other one?
That one.
I forget the name of that one, but that was really good.
That shit, and it's wild as hell.
If she wasn't famous, they would have snuffed her out, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, not as famous. If she didn't go on Rogan and have the documentary, they probably would have snuffed her out.
Fucking Tom Cruise is goddamn Scientologist. That shit's...
It's very hard because he makes some fucking cool movies, and he does all his own stunts and flies airplanes and shit, and a lot of that actually goes to the teachings of Scientology about, like, no fear and all this shit. Like, that's where he gets it from. But at the same time, like, Scientology, Tom Cruise can fuck off.
Actor Tom Cruise,
he's cool.
Yeah,
but also he was always kind of a douche, though. Yeah. But another thing that pissed me off, like I think Jason Lee, who was in Clerks and not Clerks. Well, I mean he had a guest spot in Clerks too, but from Mallrats and My Name Is Earl, and things like that. He was a pro skateboarder, fucking cool ass dude. Scientologist.
No shit.
There's a lot of them that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, though. That's like more like a cult rather than...
Yeah, so I will openly shit on Scientology just because... I mean, again, if you're a Scientologist listening, I'm not into shitting on you as a person. Again, your beliefs, whatever, that's fine. But like the organization... Yeah, I'll even shit on the Catholic Church because or evangelical Christian... Like the actual group, like the...
I shit on the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Like the fucking... also, sidebar... I hate the suppression of history. Like the Vatican has fucking sealed documents galore of things that could change the world, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe missing parts of definitely missing parts of the Bible.
Yeah.
And they won't share it because it probably fucks up the, what they got going on.
Exactly. And it's more like a fucking business anymore than than a church, trying to get people to grow closer to God.
I was raised Christian. My mom still is very Christian. Like, I'm talking fucking super hardcore Bible study stuff. I was raised that way. When I was probably 5, I thought it was all bullshit, and I still do. Because what turned me off, because I don't know if I was more than any other kid was kind of... I wasn't rebellious by any means, but I was kind of introspective, and then I would also look at the world around me. And what turned me off immediately was like one of the first memories I had. Because my mom, we went to a church in Pittsburgh, and I was too young. I couldn't read yet.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to do the Bible study for the kids just yet because it was like teenagers. So I just sat in with my mom on the main, like the main preaching thing and the congregation. And I watched as they handed the money plate around.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why would you have to pay for this if God... Like, that didn't make sense to me. And that still gets me now. Is like, if you are a true religion, Like, I get a small church has got to stay operating, but when you got, like, Joel Olstein's in super mansions and driving around in Bentleys and Ferraris and shit.
Yeah.
Really, that's a hustle. That's not...
Well, like our goddamn... no, every church around me, every Catholic church around me is closed down. You know how much money... I know how much money my family alone gave to these goddamn churches.
Mm-hmm. So they weren't spending on expenses, probably.
No, but our priest drove a goddamn BMW. You know what I mean? It doesn't make... You know what I mean?
When you see that kind of shit, I mean...
If you're a priest, you know... I mean, Jesus even says, you know, it's not about... You know,
wealth.
It's not about, like, physical, like... I don't know. But, you know, it's not about jewelry. It's not about this shit and that. It's about, you know, your faith.
Well, that's why Jesus took in the poor.
Loving people, this and that. And that's not what priests do, though. They're driving around in Bentleys and shit.
Well, when you have churches and priests and preachers turning away people because they don't have enough money, or say like a homeless person walks in, they won't let them join, or they'll, you know, be really, really shitty to them so they won't come back because, you know, they're not going to give any money and stuff. Isn't Jesus, you know, you take in the poor? Isn't that the whole Christianity? I never understood that. Like Joel Osteen when they had the hurricane.
Right.
And then all the flooding, and they wouldn't let anybody safeguard there. Like they wouldn't let anybody in the mega church because, you know, you can't have poor people in your mega church. You got to pay. By the way, I don't know if you ever looked at the price. I think it was like minimum $1,000 ticket to that. Oh, fucking churches cost $1,000 to get in on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And they put on a show pretty much. That's what it is. It's a show.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to this list.
Yeah.
Number 2, this is on my list. I have not read it yet, but I definitely want to. I only read one Dostoevsky thing, and that was the Notes from the Underground. It's a time matter. That's all it really comes down to, because they wrote all those Russians wrote some big-ass books.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like you have to read them in the winter. I don't know why.
Russia, man. I feel the same. Anytime I even hear Russia, I think of snow, man. I think the worst goddamn winter possible.
Which makes no sense because they have summer. I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Number 2, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. The first God is Dead narrative, and Ivan Karamazov is its storyteller. In the chapter Mutiny, he explains to Alyosha, his younger brother and novice monk, why he is returning his ticket to the present at the end of time when all those who have suffered are finally redeemed. Focusing on reports of the torture and murder of children with a kind of ecstatic glee, he asks Alyosha whether he himself would make a world that ends with universal love at the cost of a single child's suffering. It is the question all believers must ask themselves and then live with the answer. I feel like if anybody should be able to speak on religion and what it means to follow the word of God and how you should live as a Christian, Catholic, whatever your religion, it's the Russians in the 1800s, because those motherfuckers lived through some shit. Well, even in obviously past World War II.
World War I too.
Yeah, they just hammered everybody's poor. You just most miserable conditions. So I could really, really see where he would be coming from with this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I never read this book either, and
on the list.
I gotta read it in its entirety now, because just reading this little caption about it was
as far as Russian literature goes, I have a list of what I need to read, and I have them. I just haven't got, like I said, I haven't gotten to them. But again, like I said, also, you know, it's kind of wintertime maybe. Like, you need to move, because I'm not happy summer. I don't want to read this kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have Anna Karenina. That's the first one I'm going to read. I have War and Peace, and I have The Brothers Karamazov, and I already read Notes from the Underground. And I think that's all I want to touch on with Russian literature. I don't want to really go beyond that, because Russians were amazing writers, but it's depressing.
Yeah, it is. For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, it's depressing, and also it's hard for me to relate, because, again, I'm not a religious person, and I definitely like the themes and what they're talking about. And I'll get into it a little later, probably at the end of this list. But they are religious books I have read that I really enjoyed, because even as like somebody that's not a religious person, it's the morals, the themes, just how you're supposed to live as a person and as a kind, caring human being. Those usually come across in these kinds of, or how fate can be so cruel. How, you know, the suffering of man, children, women.
I read a little, like, summaries and stuff on this one, because it, like I said, it caught my attention, and search for truth about man, life, and God. It's like one of the deeper meanings of this. I thought it was cool though. You got like 4 brothers in this, 3 legitimate ones and then 1 illegitimate.
Yeah.
Like Ivan, an atheist. Or atheist.
That's a good opposing view to have. You have to have that if you're telling this kind of story.
You got Dimitri, who's an emotional lover of women. You got, I don't know how to say that. Aloysia is the hero or Christian, and then the illegitimate brother. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Twisted illegitimate child that is treated as a family servant. So that's like the 4 main. That's
almost a good analogy of how some religions treat people who don't follow their beliefs.
Right.
Well, you're only good to be our slave, our servant, our serf.
Yeah.
They just throw you on, like they don't care about you as a person anymore because you're not a person to them. Just because you, and I feel like in 2019 America, that those feelings on any side of the spectrum, political or religious, are very strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of hate in this country right now. There's a lot of hate. It's a pretty bad.
It's unwarranted, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a goddamn shame.
It's no secret that I'm not a Trump supporter.
Right.
But if you were a Trump supporter or just a hardcore conservative, and we don't have anything in common, but you're just a decent person, though.
Yeah. I'm
not going to hate you. There's just, you could have a different beliefs. You can believe something different. I'm not going to say you're racist just because you like Trump.
Yeah.
But if you say some racist shit, okay.
Then you're, yeah.
Yeah. If you're, a super hardcore Catholic, you follow, Ash Wednesday, everything, Lent, all that stuff, and you go super hardcore, I'm not going to judge you for doing that, even if I don't believe it, because, like I said before, that's your right and that's your religion. That's fine. But if you're all of a sudden treating me different because I don't do that stuff, well, then we got a fucking problem.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing a lot of. You have friends. They were friends their entire lives over the last election, though, that
broke up.
Yeah,
they broke up families.
Yeah, shit like that.
People won't go home for Thanksgiving because fucking Orange Man won the election. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Somebody you're probably never going to meet in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And something that's it's not gonna. I mean, he might get another term, but like it's not gonna last forever. It's not.
Yeah, it's gonna end sometimes, as long as the world's still here.
And yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I get where some people are coming from with this shit, but how much has your life really changed since the election?
Yeah, if you really think about it, unless you're living in a place where
like
if you lived in the South somewhere, and you're a gay black man.
Yeah.
Maybe some shit is going bad for you. Right. I understand. Right. I definitely feel for you.
I guess I shouldn't say like that because not everybody's getting...
Yeah.
Not every...
If you're living in California, come on.
Or, some people got deported.
Yeah. Some people are definitely affected from them. But at the same time, you go out anywhere in the Midwest, go to New York City, California, even in Pennsylvania, how much has it changed? You might see more hate on an individual basis, but again though, it also changes though, like say like the abortion laws and things like that.
Yeah, that is true too. Yeah,
you're right. You can't really blame Trump for that though. That wasn't necessarily his doing, even if he supported it.
Yeah. That's
obviously, I feel the attitude in America is definitely not doing well. Like it's like just the hate and stuff. What are you doing, buddy? The dog got involved real quick. He just wanted to lick Dom's elbow.
I thought he wanted to say something.
He's like, hey, he has before. He gone in here just like, woo! He get his Ric Flair on. No, I'm not going to expound on this topic because it's taken away from what we're actually talking about. That's a whole nother episode for that.
We could talk about this shit all night. Yeah. Seriously.
Number 3, Roger's Version by John Updike. I have not read any John Updike. He's on my list. I would like to. I would definitely want to check out some of his work, but Roger's Version. Roger Lambert, former Methodist minister, aging theology professor, a disciple of Karl Barth, is a curmudgeon, adulterer, and consumer of pornography. I like this story already. Dale Kohler is a graduate student, evangelical Christian, and computer scientist. The latter thinks he can discover God through mathematics. You have a couple things really working for this story.
Yeah.
You have pretty much what we consider the fake minister.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not following what you're preaching.
Yep.
So I like that aspect. But then you got the scientist Christian. That's always cool in my opinion because it's almost like, are you trying to, well, it clearly says you're trying to find God through science.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting aspect because usually we separate religion and science.
And see, it's funny though, because not to go all historical and shit, but like in the introduction that Neil Griffith wrote, I can't say it. He talks about the Enlightenment and how like the narrative of God in everyday life is kind of started to change.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole God is dead narrative, and really showing like the
science
start of, like,
became the forefront.
Atheism. But before that, Christians developed science.
Yeah,
and that's what's crazy about living today, where you have people that think it should be separated.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it should go hand in hand, but it doesn't.
I was shaking that fucking thing to get it out. What, you squeeze it? Is that what it is? You got it to pour like water. I had to shake it.
I don't know how I did it.
Dom brought this sweet Hornitos tequila, but he brought it from Mexico, and they have different lids. Like they have these like weird. It's almost like not a bar pourer. It's like a sports bottle kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like it drips. But you like squeezed it somehow. Or I don't know what you did.
I have no idea how
I was like fucking shaking it like my wiener after a night of beer. Like trying to get the juices out.
But I don't know. This tequila tastes better than like really something that you would buy here.
Yeah, Hornitos in Pennsylvania suck. But this is really good.
The last bottle of that shit that I bought was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
I don't remember what you were talking about.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. This, Christians developing science, and then after the Enlightenment, or like during the Enlightenment, is when it got separated. But, yeah.
What I actually find really interesting, too, is if we want to talk about our Muslim friends, we always talk about certain demographics in the United States always talk about how Muslims have reverted back to Stone Age culture. Women are wearing burqas and throwing rocks at stoning people who are gay and things like that. And to agree, that is true because look at the 70s in the Middle East, a lot of these countries were very progressive. Yeah. Women didn't, they look like women now, but now obviously the burqas and all that shit. But the most, which is often overlooked, and I think it might have something to do with the religious aspect, is what's really overlooked is that a lot of science was developed from Muslims originally. Yeah. Like the mathematics, astronomy, so many things we credit to actual religion. Yeah. And like you said, at some point it's separated. And now you can't believe in climate change because it goes against your religion. Yeah. But why does it have to?
Well, that's what I'm saying too. Like, why? Okay, why can't Christianity and Islam coexist? You know what I mean? I mean, to an extent, I get it. Like
different views, but at the same time, you're still worshiping a god. And
I mean, Christianity and Buddhism, coexist. So why the fuck can't those? I don't know. There's some shit. It ain't never going to change, but
no, that's not likely.
Should. I mean, if we got that to happen, I mean.
That would be
there might be world peace. Yeah, there would be.
The media doesn't seem to want that, but that's episode. That's another day topic. Yeah, words I said out of order like a retard. I can't say that word either. Shit, fucking up.
I didn't even catch it.
I said the R word. Can't say the R word. See, back in my day when I was a young man, we called people retards that weren't mentally challenged, and we called mentally challenged people by their name. But now you can't do any of those things. You got to treat everybody special. Yeah. I find that on Twitter all the time that it infuriates me because everybody's biography, disabled, ADHD. Like, why do you want to label yourself? Yeah, whether it's a victim or not. I have, everybody has issues, but I don't want people to know my problems.
Well, then you have everybody always posting on Facebook and shit, and it's like, hey, if you're depressed, if you have anxiety,
you reach out for help or something. I understand that.
Hey, make sure you get help if you need somebody to talk to.
My problem is what you're probably going to touch on: attention.
Do not post the shit on Facebook and tell me how depressed you are because you aren't I've seen people that were truly depressed. Like, I'm talking crippling fucking depression.
There's a difference between attention and depression.
Let alone you see these people posting shit every 2 minutes. talking about how they're so depressed and they're gonna go kill themselves, and there's a million comments, and it's like, I've had friends kill themselves and shit like that, and I don't know. I just feel like I'll call the suicide hotline if you're gonna post that shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll call the cops to your fucking house, and then what?
And then
you get mad, and then you're like, somebody call the cops. Yeah, you said you were gonna kill yourself. That's a fucking red flag.
Exactly.
If you didn't mean it. I mean, I guess it's hard to judge that because you don't know where people are in their, mental space.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm pretty good at spotting people, looking for attention.
Yeah.
For instance, you post that thing. Usually you don't reply to the people that are replying to you. Like, you just post, that's your cry for help.
Yeah.
But when you're replying to everybody and all this shit, again, I can't judge you. Maybe you do have something, and that's your first initial trying to reach.
Because I don't want to sound like a dick either. There's people that do go on there and
it's a fine line, but everybody knows the people that every week they're post. Oh, and those are the same people that post, they go to the hospital because they have ingrown toe, but they just post that vague picture of them in the hospital looking miserable.
Yeah.
And then they don't say anything.
Yeah.
They don't expound upon it. They don't, expand upon it. They just go, the picture's there and that's it. And then they want to, what happened? They revel in that attention. Yeah. I find that on Twitter all the time. People's bios, their whole thing is being a victim of something. And, like, that's one of the few things where I will agree with, like, the right side, the conservative views of, because I have nothing against conservatives, but they do have a lot of douchey views in regards to empathy.
Right.
But with that one, it is an attention thing. Like you're labeling yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, you're gay, you're trans, but unless you're actually fighting for the rights, why do you have to point it out so much?
Yeah, that and like you were saying with, like, if you have a disability, I mean, I have no disabilities that I know of. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have ADHD or anything like that. But why do you want it to be like a crutch, in life? Like,
why do you want to broadcast it?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference between bringing awareness to it and just, like you said, a crutch.
And it's like, if you do have it, like, my brother has ADHD, but he never, like, I failed the test because I have...
Yeah, it doesn't blame that.
Attention deficit, you know what I mean? Or if... Just shit like that.
Well, it's the big one? Autism.
Well...
Everybody's autistic now.
I have a cousin, he's autistic, and my aunt and uncle don't ever use it as an excuse for shit for him. He plays sports, he does really well in
if you're severely autistic, that's different.
Yeah.
But I know so many people who all of a sudden they never said anything about it before, and now it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
They claim autism, and they use that almost as an excuse for they failed out of school or something because they fucking partied all the time. Well, I got Asperger's, so I can't. I have problem focusing or socializing. It's like you drank all through college and got high all the time. I mean, maybe. Autism can push you in certain directions you might not go in. Yeah. But there's plenty of people, if you got functioning autism, it's not an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
And think about, autism's always been around.
Yeah.
We've only recently started diagnosing it. So through history, look how many people that were probably autistic succeeded and didn't have anything to... And that goes with any like major... not major, but like minor disability.
Yeah.
Like, I got a gluten allergy. So, like, do you have a gluten allergy? Okay. That's fine.
Well, another one's diabetes, too. Like, diabetes is serious and everything. Like, I'm not, but, like, people just, like, they use it as an excuse for shit. Like,
to be, like, an asshole sometimes.
Yeah, and, like, then you have, the worst ones are the ones that drink on top of it. And then try to use, like, that they're drinking because they're diabetic, and it doesn't make sense.
Even make sense,
and, and you're kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you shouldn't be drinking. Because I've heard people do that. Oh, I'm drinking my Stonies today because I'm diabetic. It's like, well...
Stop drinking, dude.
Just stop drinking in general. My grandfather has it. He doesn't drink. He drank for fucking 50 years.
Yeah.
He stopped one day. My dad doesn't drink because he has diabetes.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a crazy world.
I just don't get the victimhood of certain things. Even if it's not victimhood, just having to have a label on yourself. Because it used to be everybody wanted to be independent, didn't want to have a label.
Yeah.
You didn't want people, you get mad if somebody called you something that you weren't, or even if you were that, you didn't want to identify it as it may be. Now it's like you want to identify any single problem you have. Again, it's one thing just embracing yourself, that's fine.
Yeah.
But there's another thing when you're broadcasting it to everybody to get sympathy.
Yeah.
To get attention.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a difference, you know? Like like if somebody puts on, they're diagnosed with cancer or something like that. Like, obviously, that's not for attention. I don't want to make it sound like I'm ripping on people that are, just like making people aware of their situation and shit like that. Because I am very remorseful too.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the attention seeking.
It's hard, especially with social media culture, because again, you don't know where people are in their life. So it's very hard to call bullshit because you don't know it's bullshit or not. But like I keep using Twitter as the example because it's most blatant on there for me. Like when I see it, because I used this example on a podcast not long ago about the exact thing I'm talking about, and I think it's probably a better example than what we probably brought up. We drunkenly shoehorned in, know. But a lady on Twitter posted that it was the worst day of her life because her husband just died of a heart attack that morning. And instead of instantly just feeling bad for her, first thing I thought was, why are you posting this on? Because in my mind, it's like, why would you post that on Twitter? No, I tried to think from her perspective. Okay, maybe this lady doesn't have a lot of friends or family in her personal life, and her family, that's what she has is Twitter. She's on there all the time. That's her following. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But then I looked on her profile, and it was like all day, like literally probably right after that guy died, 10, 20 fucking tweets about different things. Oh, man, I can't believe this happened to me. Didn't happen to you, happened to your husband. But I'm just thinking, like, what do you do? I mean, there's coping mechanisms, but are we using social media as the crutch now? Because we don't want to internalize and deal with those problems and those feelings that we have. So instead, we just throw it out there for other people to absorb. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I agree. I think social media is becoming a crutch, and I believe it's becoming more of like an epidemic to an extent. Like it's an addiction.
People need to reel it back. Like if your husband just died, you shouldn't be on social media.
Post pictures of a loved one that literally died seconds ago.
That's always fucked up. I don't understand that.
Who the fuck would be thinking, I'm going to pull out my phone and take a
show this on Facebook for people to look at?
I've seen people do that. It makes me fucking sick to my stomach. And then
have it like,
or at a funeral, people do it. Somebody did that at like my best friend's funeral.
At least like a respect issue,
Yeah, and I was fucking pissed off when I saw that. And it was somebody that like barely knew him at all. They posted a picture, and it's like for attention, Yeah, you barely knew him.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was just kind of shit like that pisses me off to the fullest extent.
The optimist in me likes to think that because the social media, it's not old. I mean, it's brand new in human history. We've never had communication abilities like we do now. Right. So I'd like to think that we are just in the early stages of clumsily going through it.
Yeah.
So with any new technology, the first fucking car had a boat oar. Like that's how it was. Yeah. There was no wheel. Yeah. It was like how you would fucking steer a boat.
Yeah. That's pretty, you're right. That's
new technology, you're going to have an odd way of, going through that and learning it as a culture and society. And it's so rapid now, the growth of technology, that we just can't keep up. So when Instagram comes out, of course everybody's going to take pictures of their... They don't have any... You just take pictures of what your life is. Yeah. Oh, I'm eating. Yeah. Oh, I'm taking a shit. Like, I'm going to take pictures of these things. Yeah, people might like it. I don't know. Yeah. That's why everybody sends dick pics, because you never could before. What did you do in the 70s? You fucking got one of those big reels, took a video of your dick, sent it to somebody, they set it up, and then they fucking put it on the old black and white film to show your wiener in grainy footage on the wall in your grimy basement. Like, that's what it was.
Oh, how did we get on dick pics in the 70s, man?
I don't know, especially in a religious episode. Let's get back on topic.
Oh, That was good.
Well, we'll lump the technology episode for another one. I've been wanting to talk about that, but I just...
Dude, there's so many topics.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there... After we first talked about me coming on, I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about, And you could talk about so much shit. Yeah, I know. We can. I know that.
For sure. All right, number 4, Earthly Powers by Anthony Burgess. This is the one you were most interested in, right?
Yeah. I really like this one.
At the oh, this guy must be British. He spells center with R-E.
There's a lot of them.
Makes him fancier.
Well, where's the one where it's like organization or something? We spell it with like a Z.
They spell it with S.
It's an S. And
I saw a tweet about that. It was a meme, but it started as a tweet. Some guy was correcting somebody. No, it wasn't. I actually read this live. It was on a sports thing. And I think it was organization was the word, and somebody spelled it with an S. And the guy's like, you can't spell organization because you're fucking stupid. How are you going to comment on this or something? And then the guy was like, well, I'm fucking British, so...
Well, I'm pretty sure a professor corrected one of my papers and, like, said it was a misspelling. I spelled color with a U. And it was pretty much an accident. It was just because, like, what I was writing on, you know, the author must have been British, you know what I mean?
It just happens, yeah.
And it just kind of happened like that, and they corrected it. I'm like, well,
still correct.
I'm like, well, technically, it's still correct. We speak English, so yeah, it's correct.
From somebody who studied the Chicago Manual of Style and different aspects of editing people's work, because I do edit British authors from time to time and Australian. No, sure. I will tell you, it's fine if you use the British spelling and, like, you know, parenthesis rules where I think they have like punctuation goes outside the parentheses on like here and different things like that. But he was correct because if the rest of your paper was in American English, you can't have British English mixed in. I mean, you can depending on what it is, but not in a scholarly.
It has to be consistent.
Yeah, not with like that kind of work.
Yeah, you're right.
But he didn't have to mark you wrong or anything. He could have just told you.
Yeah, but no, that is right. If it has to be consistent. Yeah. I can't remember if I was consistent or not.
Can't mix and match rules. It'll confuse the reader. Anyway, number 4, Earthly Powers by Anthony Burgess. At the center of the 800-page argument with Catholicism is Carlos Campanati, a priest who becomes cardinal, who becomes pope, God's representative on earth, and in between times beats up a Malaysian businessman. I like that. Sets about Mussolini's black shirts, and then tortures a Nazi officer. All before writing what is clearly Burgess's version of Vatican II, a liberal, welcoming, love-filled entity to bring all of Christianity back together. He is one of the few characters in literature whose size and moral certainty mean they can take on the powers of darkness with both rigorously argued sermons and great fleshy fist. I like that. It makes me think of Jesus fucking dudes up in the casino. Just going through busting ass and knocking balls.
Right, dude? Yeah, this one, I like this one just because, like, there's a lot of, he touched on, like, so much different historical shit in it. Like, some of the events he
wasn't talking out of his ass. Some of these things
put in there, like, you have, like, World War One. He touched on the influenza pandemic in 1819.
Yeah.
You have rise of fascist Italy, Nazi Germany, World War II, post-colonialism in Africa. Those are all pretty interesting topics, you know?
Yeah.
And all in one book. I mean, and just that this is a novel, it's fiction, you know, somebody was able to come up with all this shit it's impressive to me. Like, how some of these writers' minds work and how creative they can get.
Yeah, Anthony Burgess was a pretty fucking unique dude, too.
Yeah. And, like, how he's, one of the things about this is that, okay, so the main character, the protagonist, and Kenneth Toomey, he's 81 years old. He tells a story on his 81st birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something else in there that was pretty crazy about it, too, that I forget what the hell it was. It had something to do with, like, the number 81 or some shit like that. And I can't remember what it is now. I read it on a website. Another theme about it, though, is that as you read through it, the protagonist is considered, like, unreliable.
Yeah,
and there's an
unreliable narrator.
Yeah, and it kind of works. Like, we studied this in history too. Like, if you're talking like oral history, you know, so say I interview a veteran from World War II. Okay, and I ask him about something that happened on D-Day in 1944. You know what I mean?
You're not going to
probably not going to be completely accurate because your memory deteriorates. I know mine does within a goddamn week.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And like the writer purposely includes mistakes to certain like historical events in it, so you can see like that's not how that actually
almost
happened.
Comes across as somebody actually telling the story versus the author doing shitload of research and telling factual story. Yeah. Well, Anthony Burgess, I mean, that dude was pretty wild with like the way he went about writing. For instance, like A Clockwork Orange. I read that I think a couple years ago. He created a whole slang language for that.
Yeah,
there's like a dictionary in that. It was crazy.
Yeah,
the amount of work he put into his work was astounding.
Very creative.
So I would imagine this was very well done. So I'm definitely on the list.
Yeah, I'm definitely reading that.
We gotta speed this up. We're 52 minutes into this bitch. All right, number 5. The Time of Angels by Iris Murdoch. I never heard of Iris Murdoch.
Nah.
She a pretty lady? Hope she's a lady. Could be like it's hard to say with some of those Irish folks. I'm assuming that's what who this person is because a lot of them, like Kelly, you think is a lady. Might not be a lady. Nope. Anyway, this is kind of Death of God soap opera. 7-character struggle in varying degrees of torment to find meaning in a godless world. Such is the existential gloom. Most of the action takes place in an old rectory on an urban wasteland surrounded by fog. That even being decent is a struggle. Sorry. Too much tequila. Yeah, we gotta have a bottle down.
Yeah.
Murdoch seems to be saying that if the world dispenses altogether with God, the void will be taken up by the malevolent angels. On a separate note, she also seems to say that if we dispense with God individually, we will be forced to listen only to... What the fuck is that word, dude? Is he a Russian writer? Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky?
Maybe one of the listeners can call in.
You've been warned. Yeah, folks, check this out in the show notes and look up the pronunciation of Tchaikovsky, I would say.
Yeah, that sounded good.
My Russian, Ukrainian, any of that, like, it sucks. I really like the theme of this. And I think this is something you might have wanted to talk about earlier when we were talking off air. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the idea of what the world would be like if we got rid of religion altogether.
Yeah. And
even maybe the idea of God. We would like to think it would be like some kind of atheistic science culture and take over the world and be, positive and everybody's just focused, no more opposing views on certain things.
Right.
Or would it be the opposite? Would we have all kinds of people lost? They don't have a purpose anymore. They don't know. Because whether you like to admit it or not, religion gives a lot of people purpose in life.
Yeah.
It gives them direction. And it keeps them from doing fucking horrible atrocities.
Well, that's
why committing horrible atrocities on the world.
Yeah. And I feel like there'd be there's already a lot of fucking anarchy in this world, but I feel like the entire world would be people that are lost, people that
religion gives communities structure. It doesn't give countries or government structure, but it gives community structure. And you can't have a government or a country without the communities that make it up.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. Because I was going to say like civilization, but you said it perfectly. Communities, and then. Communities multiply. It all
starts from the ground up.
Yeah.
So, I've thought about and we've all probably said if we just didn't have religion, it would be world peace because nobody would have anything to fight about. We should all have shit to fight about. Yeah. That's very naive thinking. But I would say certain aspects would be a lot easier if everybody just was on the same page. I feel like the world would be a lot more boring. Would you want to go to Japan or China? No Buddhist culture anymore or anything.
Right.
Nothing. Just whatever they do. So much, as we're reading now, brilliant work in literature and art. Think of the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
You think of some of the best music ever created. Religion was at its base. The story of man almost starts with religion. You can't tell a story without something that's already been told in a religion, whether that's... And I don't want to just say, Christianity. We're talking about modern religion, but, the Greeks. Romans.
Yeah,
like there's so many myths that you can go back to. Everything before Christianity, there was always something.
Yeah, exactly. And because I was going to bring that up. Yeah, the pagan culture, it gave them like a sense of community, a sense of structure. And I feel like, and it is impressive to see what religion was before Christ and then what it has evolved into today. I mean, to an extent, I think if, let's just Christianity, for an example, if Jesus came back and just looked at some of the, branches of Christianity as a whole, through Catholicism and Methodists, Baptists, I think a lot of times he'd probably be disappointed in the way people worship and how churches are ran and this and that.
But really goes back to the basis of what started the initial idea for this episode. Was I said something about, I forget exactly what it was. Remind me if you remember. I think it was like something along the lines of religion, like not necessarily religion, but false religion ruining the world.
Yeah, that's more of what it was.
And you talk about evolution of religion, and it's gotten to the point where it's almost, my team versus your team.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I mean, it was always that to a degree, but, again, with social media and stuff, it's like, oh, I'm a Christian. If you're not, you're going to go to hell and burn and die and all this stuff. You can't tell somebody that.
Well, I could see how Muslims and Christians don't get along in a sense where they're not, I'm not saying go slaughter each other. I'm just saying, okay, you might disagree because they don't believe Jesus, anything about Jesus. They think he's a false prophet. But, and Christians believe that Muhammad is a false prophet.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jews think neither of them were the dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe.
But with Christians hating Jews and, shit like that, it doesn't make sense to me because like we said at the beginning of the episode, or maybe we said it off air, I mean, the whole, that's how Christianity was created, by Jews. So without Judaism, there is no Christianity. So,
I think that the problem, and it goes with the evolution of religion and where we are today, the issue lies with the rules of each religion. That's what's clashing now. Because we want to say, Jesus was a false prophet, Muhammad's a false prophet. Is that why you're bombing fucking buildings?
Yeah.
Is that why you're shunning all gays and stuff? No, you're going for the rules.
Yeah.
The rules clash. A lot of the Muslims almost want to have their women be servants to a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Modern Christians don't believe that anymore.
Right.
It's why they even lash out at Mormons, because Mormons want to marry more than one person.
Right.
And the Christian morals don't agree with that. It's what it comes down to is individual morals and rules. It's almost like the Jesus, Muhammad, God is an afterthought.
Yeah. Yeah.
To a
it's
degree.
More of like, and it's like just how proud people are of it, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like you said, it's the shit that should matter. Like, how would something that you believe in terms of religion affect my relationship?
It doesn't change it. It shouldn't.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
It's just you want somebody to believe what you believe. Yeah.
Because once you show that hate, you say something that I don't agree with in terms of religion, I call you a fucking asshole. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that kind of fucks up my relationship with God, right? Or if I say something, you come over and punch me in the face, I mean, that would fuck up your relationship with God, right? So I feel like a lot of religious people are very fucking confused.
They definitely are. I mean, if you look at it, most religions have the same core values, though. Yeah, that's what's fucked up.
Very similar creation stories and shit like that.
Whether you're Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Mormon, most of the teachings are be kind to people, love your neighbor. There's a question where which was the big thing with the Muslims, is worshiping a false god. That's where things get a little squirrely, things like that. But just like the basic, like I said before, the basic values of just what it means to be a good person. That's at the heart of most religions. That's almost why they started. Again, the community level. Yeah. It's a sense of community, and whether you want to admit it or not, I would say all religion was started to a degree to make sense of a world we don't understand. And that goes back to the science debate and why people push back, because I use climate change as an example because there's pushback even though the science is there. It's kind of, you can't disprove it, really.
Right.
Or if they could disprove it, you think it would be.
Yeah.
So with the science being there, you have the pushback from religious folks because they don't want to believe something that goes against their religion. And the only thing I can think of is God would protect you. Is that what it is? I mean, I don't see how that really influences Christians.
No. And, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
honestly.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No,
Again, why can't science and religion coexist? They can't.
Because it doesn't. It does in my eyes. Besides, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, never mind. Because evolution, to an extent, like, okay, I could see how humans evolved from a caveman to what we are now.
The origin is what the where the conflict resides.
Yeah,
or resides is because. Did God create us? Did we just come from nothing?
Yeah.
I can see both points. It doesn't make sense that we came from nothing. How do you come from nothing? Our human brains can't comprehend that. But at the same time, can they really comprehend some almighty being that created everything we know? That doesn't make sense either. So the problem is, with man's hubris, we just don't want to admit that we don't know.
Exactly.
We're scared of what we don't know. Again, that's why religion started.
Okay, like, let's say... I don't know what you believe on that, but let's say we believe differently. I believe we were created by God. You believe we came from nothing, and we're not calling each other fucking idiots about it.
Yeah, not fighting about it.
So even in that sense, I don't, because I'll admit I don't know. Well, if I knew, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
Here's the way I think a sensible, logical person should react, and I mean, not to brag, but this is how I think. I believe obviously I believe in evolution, and, Earth kind of proves that we started somehow. We don't know exactly how we started, but we've got the science now to show that we came from something else. Even now, animals are evolving before our eyes, so you can't say that's not a thing.
Yeah.
At the same time, I personally don't believe we were just created by some almighty being, but if you proved it, or, if there was proof, I would 100% be like, okay.
Yeah.
Some people would be like, nope, still not. Like an atheist would be like, I guess you would say it's agnostic. I don't consider myself agnostic. But if you can prove something through science or other means, then I'm fine with it. Because I believe it's if you go, not to go to, Ethan Hawking. Stephen Hawking's. Ethan Hawking. Yeah, because Ethan Hawke's the guy you want to ask about physics and stuff like that. That's the guy. No, I don't believe Ethan Hawke's a physicist of any kind. Stephen Hawking, if you want to go that route, and I don't even know what I was saying with that. It fucked me up. But anyway, if you just want to say, the universe, there could be bubble universes. It could be infinite. It could have started somewhere. Maybe the beginning of the universe is a lot farther and longer than older than we know, because we can only see to a certain point. There's a lot of ways you can go with that. Maybe we never started. Maybe it was always was.
Yeah.
These things we can't comprehend. It's just impossible.
No.
I mean, if you just look into space and realize that all those speckles, most of those are whole galaxies bigger than ours, with suns that are bigger than everything we could ever... you just can't imagine it.
No.
So to say that... And this is kind of where my disdain for religion comes from, is on an intellectual level. If there was a God that created everything, that doesn't... there's so much... you can't even comprehend what's out there. So why would he be focused on us individually? That doesn't make sense.
Right. I mean...
It's just too big.
In my mind, I mean, I see your point, but I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that all this shit just happened.
I can't say that it just happened, because that doesn't make sense to me either.
Right.
But why can't there, like, how do you know there wasn't more than one God? Maybe you can go to, like, some anime shit, and there's a God for each quadrant of the universe.
Maybe there is. Yeah.
You don't know. That's the problem. But I am comfortable enough in myself to admit that I don't know.
Yeah.
And if there's proof that there is something else, which it's not going to come in my lifetime, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then think about this. Like, just go back to Bob Lazar that we started with. If aliens came and it was 100%, oh, these are fucking aliens. They're on TV. These are fucking Martians or some shit. You'd have people like, and those aliens are like, well, no, this is what our religion is. This is people. Then there's gonna be a war and people are gonna fight that. And like, oh, I can't believe that. And that again, the hubris of man. Like, why are you thinking that they're wrong? They came from outer space. Before you didn't even believe they existed. You thought we were the only life because God created us. Well,
my dad brought that up too. He's like, it's pretty fucking ignorant of humans to think we're
the only one.
Yeah. Doesn't
make sense.
Statistically,
it doesn't make sense.
I don't know for sure. I don't know if I believe there's a God. I can't. You'll never know until you're fucking dead. So, I mean, that's the only way to find out. So,
I study all kinds of theories because I like to have not necessarily just an answer for any kind of question religious or non-religious person may have, but just because I want to, for lack of a better term, weigh my options.
Yeah.
So I can believe that maybe there's more than one God. Maybe there's no God. Maybe we're the atoms of some fucking creature, like Men in Black style. Maybe we're marbles and just some big aliens rolling us. You don't know. And you'll never know.
No.
And I think that, again, that's why you should respect people's beliefs, because that's what they are. They're beliefs, and nobody can be right.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're right, you're never going to be able to prove it.
Yeah.
The universe is too big.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to who's sending me dick pics. Men, you sending me pictures of your wing? I watched the Mr. Rogers trailer and I'm excited for it. Just want you to know.
You didn't even tell me about it.
I saw it the other day. I did tell you. I told you Tom Hanks is new Mr. Rogers.
No, I don't recall.
I actually went and watched it.
No shit.
Every couple months, I like to watch a bunch of Mr. Rogers clips. Not from the show. Yeah. I like to watch his video of him on the... trying to get money for PBS back in the day against the Senate, who was 100% Trump-like. Like, no, we're not doing that. And then they were like, oh, we got to do it because it's Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And I watched a couple of them because it makes me a kinder person.
Right.
Because if there was a religious person, see, I'm like the segue here, how I brought it back around.
I like you.
If there was a religious person anybody should envy and who should be a goddamn saint in every religion, I think, is Mr. Rogers, because he 100% lived what he preached. No evil in that man.
Right.
He never heard, like, he fucking wrote. Every kid that wrote him a letter, every day he answered. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And since you brought up Mr. Rogers, my girlfriend graduated from Duquesne in May. Mr. Rogers' wife was there. Did a speech and shit. It was pretty cool. She's fucking really nice, too.
You gotta be if you're married to Mr. Rogers.
I mean, excellent people.
Literally probably the nicest guy who ever lived. I mean, that dude had to be a saint.
Yeah.
Like, other than maybe Mother Teresa, and I'm sure she threw a couple F-bombs out there, but come on.
Probably.
Like, dude weighed himself every morning and made sure he weighed 143 pounds because that's how many letters are in I love you. Like, come on, dude.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
143, I love you. Like,
that's insane.
Dude, like, there was a story where, I could go on days, Mr. Rogers, but I'll tell you one more. There was a story where he had a limo driver, I believe it was, or a taxi driver, I think it was a limo driver, pick him up to take him somewhere, and Mr. Rogers, being who he was talking to the guy, because he didn't care if you were gay or whatever you were, he loved everybody just for who you are.
Right.
Which was the message, which Fox News fucking said he was equal for doing that, making people believe they were special. Yeah, I'll send you the YouTube link later. It was fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
But, anyway, he goes to the limo driver's house and plays piano for his whole family all night and entertains them. Just
no
because
shit.
That's who does that? What celebrity does that?
Number one, I'm impressed with your knowlage on Mr. Rogers.
He's one of my heroes.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very faulted human being, as most of us are.
Yeah.
And Mr. Rogers is just one of those people where I look at when I find, especially when because I get in the habit of, you'll see, I'll share shit on Facebook, and usually it's just for laughs, but sometimes I'll get too serious, and I realize it's getting closer to hate than just constructive criticism on how the government or religion or anything works. And then I'll be like, you know what? I need a Mr. Rogers kick. I need to get knocked down and realize, like, hey, you can love people that are of different opinions. Yeah. So I do that from time to time because I just feel you need that in your life.
No, that's good shit. Because I feel like more times than not, I'm usually fucking pissed off about something. And
it's unnecessary. It weighs you down. It really does.
It ruins your entire fucking day. If you get pissed off for 10 minutes, it gets exhausting after a while.
That's why you gotta think. Instead of what would Jesus do, what would Mr. Rogers do? I mean, I'm just saying, Mr. Jesus. Jesus went and he fucking... Did he beat up some fools in the casino? I mean, my stories are a little off, but I'm pretty sure he went into a house of ill repute and beat up some folks or flipped tables or something. Like that Jesus? Was a famous Jesus story.
He destroyed the temple.
Mr. Rogers never beat nobody.
Corrupt.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers didn't do that.
No,
he would have just been like, "Hey, you're who you are. You like gambling, okay?"
Mr. Jesus Rogers.
Mr. Jesus. All right, we're getting a little crazy here. We're never going to get through this list. We're over an hour into this. It's been a long episode. Sorry, folks.
Dude, I don't know. It's fun, though.
Oh, man, this is going to be a fun one to pronounce. Number 6, The Last Temptation of Christ by Nikos Kazantzakis. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. The T throws me off. Why is there a T in there, you damn Russians?
The T and the Z together.
Yeah. Still better than some of the fucking Japanese I had to read on one episode. That was rough.
I don't know how the fuck you did that.
I didn't do it well. Blasphemy number 2. There is something elemental in this novel about the life of Jesus that is absent in the Gospels, and I would make this a set text for anyone studying the nature of Jesus as the fullest expression of the journey from carpenter to cross, from man to God. The last section of the novel, so reviled by fundamentalist Christians, is one of the most mysterious, imaginative, enthralling, and moving passages in all of literature. Holy fuck, that's a bold statement.
It is, and for some reason, I thought set text said sex text.
Jesus, you getting freaky. You know what? I really like that idea that they pissed off the fundamental Christians because that's probably means this book is making some strong points.
Yeah, definitely.
Anytime you're pissing off anybody, usually... I mean, obviously, you could be just a douche, but if you're this kind of work, you're probably doing a good job.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, Christians are always pissed off.
Yeah, that's, again, it gets against their religion. Why are you pissed off? You're supposed to love everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Rogers, folks. I do not envy myself later when I'm sober and have to fucking fill out the... the description and the notes for this, for when you go to the podcast and tells you what the episode's about. Yeah. It's going to be long. But well, we talk about Mr. Rogers here, but then people are going to be like, what the fuck? You guys went crazy.
But I think it's interesting that the main element of the novel is the life of Jesus that's absent from Gospels. Because, if you read the Bible and you read
there's a 20-year span? Well, maybe not that long.
There is a gap. And,
well, isn't it from him being a baby to 30 or something? It's pretty long, actually.
Yeah, there's a pretty... Yeah,
so it might be 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
When did he die? 32?
I can't remember what the fuck it was. Well, he died he was 33.
33?
Yeah. They think. I mean, it's kind of it's somewhere between 33 and 36.
Which I'm just saying, back then, that was kind of the average lifespan. He was all right.
Yeah.
People fucking assholes would hang you on a cross for walking in the desert and shit. Trying to have a fancy dinner with a bunch of cool dudes, and then one of them snitches on you like a bitch, and then there you up on a cross for a week. That sucks.
Man, it's fucked up.
Judas, you dickhead.
He got it. He got him dinner.
Yeah,
the motherfucker told on him.
Dude, you see how big that dinner was? Come on, man. You know how much that would have cost back then?
Dude, that fucking bread looked good, man.
Dude, the fucking goat or whatever they had, that was probably somebody's fucking whole farm. What are you doing?
Right.
Judas was a fucking cunt. I'm going to put that in the description. I try not to use the C word on here because people find that offensive, but Judas was a cunt.
Should be the name of the episode.
Judas was a cunt. I like that. Number 7, Amsetter's Luck by William H. Gass. That's a great name, Bill Gass. All right. There is wild precision in gases. I feel bad for any of the authors at the end of this list because you're getting all fucked over. We're not going over these two. Yeah. There is wild precision in gases rendering of the ravings of Reverend Jethro Ferber. If the dude's name's Jethro, he is usually a creep.
Yeah.
Just my experience, but let's go in. A kind of devil figure to Alma Nestor's grace-touched goodness, Ferber is a Midwestern Lago. Lago word? What the fuck does that mean? Lago? It's gotta be Lago. Lago?
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
Lago, I would say.
Rare I come across the word I don't know, but I'm assuming that just means fucking weirdo from the Midwest.
Is that an L or an I?
Oh, it could be a capital L. Or I mean a capital I. Iago. It's gotta be L. Fuck.
Because
that's definitely an I. Iago.
Yeah.
Midwestern Iago. I don't know. Maybe that's like a priest or something. Should look that up. Not gonna, but I should. He needs no real reason for evil. In the end, like the Grand Inquisitor and the brothers Karamazov, Ferber offers Amsetter a deal. It seems that if you can't destroy love, you can still run it out of town. I absolutely butchered that description.
I mean, the only thing I'm seeing for that fucking word is a fictional character in Shakespeare.
That makes sense. A Midwestern Iago. I'm not familiar with Shakespeare because I don't like reading them.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor, sir.
It's in Othello.
Yeah. Is that a metaphor? I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Metaphor like eyes or ice or something.
I don't know, some sort of comparison, right?
It's a comparison. Dude, way too much tequila for fancy writers.
We're fucking that tequila up, man.
That's good ass tequila. Glad you brought that over. I had tequila and I kept making fancy drinks and I ran out. And I got this Jameson Stout Edition, some gin, and then I got my fancy whiskeys. Too hot for fucking fancy whiskeys, dude.
Dude, I can't drink whiskey in the summer.
It makes you sick almost, right?
Yeah, it's like...
Even like a whiskey sour or something, yeah.
Winter.
How the fuck do those Southerners do it? Like the whiskey sours? I mean, maybe the fruit offsets it. I don't know. Whoa. Number 8, The Spire by William Golding. I'm a big William Golding fan too, but I've not read this. I'm very sad that apparently I'm just missing out on some awesome work here.
Yeah, I know.
It has nothing to do with it's not anything to do with the religious themes. I just haven't got to them. Visions from God often inspire us to build, whether it's to reach God or contain him. I don't know. And like Dean Jocelyn's new spire, we tend to do so without foundation. Who needs building regulations with God's instruction? Written in Golding's sparse prose, this is a novel about spiritual and material hubris. Jesus. And let's remember it was the cost of rebuilding St. Peter's that led to the Reformation. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. That one doesn't interest me. Sorry, Mr. William Golding. I'm glad I don't gotta drive. Been a while since I got to have a lot of booze on a podcast. Spencer, he doesn't drink much, so we usually do a couple shots or I'll have a couple drinks, but that's it.
Yeah.
I had like 8 of these.
Dude, that shit's fucking good, man. I don't remember last time I drank tequila. Okay, I did drink tequila on vacation last week, but...
You don't remember last week? Maybe the tequila has something to do with that?
I had a whole goddamn bottle of it down there, but I mean, like, that smooth. Like...
Yeah, it doesn't...
Where, like, I'm not, like, fucking, like, hurting from it.
I am incorrect. I said the anejo, but I thought it was a little light. It is the reposado?
I don't know.
That's the medium one in between, because the anejo is, like, cast age. This is the medium, which is in the cast, but I don't think it's aged. Right. And then you have the normal one, which is clear. I'm not a big fan of... I mean, I don't have a problem with clear tequilas. I just don't drink them straight.
What I had on vacation was the Hornitos, the black barrel. It's aged in whiskey barrels.
Yeah, that's what I like.
That shit was...
It's almost like whiskey.
It was a perfect, like...
It's like a smooth whiskey.
Because I like... I mean, whiskey's my favorite type of liquor. But I didn't want whiskey while I'm sitting on the fucking beach. You know what I mean?
Well, especially in Mexico, you gotta have tequila. Were you in Mexico?
I was in the Outer Banks. I got that a while back. When we were in Mexico, yeah.
My fault. Number 9, Loris by Eugene Vodoloskin. A Picard-esque, I think, in a fucking Captain Picard from Star Trek.
Yeah.
I don't even watch Star Trek. I don't know what
I don't watch it either.
A Picard, I think picturesque, right? But that's Picard-esque.
Yeah.
A Picard-esque magical realist novel set in 15th century Russia. Yeah, another Russian. Where holy fools talk like Californian surfer dudes. That's interesting. The end of the world is very nigh, and yet events from the next 5 centuries a breakthrough into the narrative, and where aesthetic starvation and sleeping out in a cemetery during a Russian winter doesn't kill you. Moving, intense, and often funny, the novel's great achievement is taking us inside the medieval world of faith where God and holiness pervades all things.
What's up with this episode in Russian winters?
Well, like I brought up way earlier, where's a better time for Christianity or deep Jesus thoughts than fucking frozen ass Russia in the 1800s where everybody's miserable? Like, that's what religion also tends to fall on the most downtrodden.
Yeah.
Because you need hope.
Right. So
you think of American slaves. They needed hope because there was none around. They went with religion.
Yeah.
You think of Depression era factory workers. There's no hope. You're starving to death almost. You can barely afford to live. Maybe you're fucking homeless. What do? You think, well, life gets better when you die because you go to heaven. That, like, all these times and periods through history, it's always the downtrodden that are the most most religious.
Aside from the Vatican being in Italy.
Ballers with their gold chains and shit.
Well, yeah. But aside from them being in Italy, like, I don't know, like 99% of Italians are
Catholic.
Yeah.
That's like Mexicans.
And I'm Catholic and Italian for the most part. I mean, I have other shit too. But
little touch of the gay.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of Italians were poor, you know what I mean? And that's why they came here. So
isn't that why Mussolini took off so hard?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a shithole.
Dictators come from broken countries.
It basically still is a shithole. You know what I mean?
Italy?
I mean, it's pretty to go there. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
would you want to live there
in like southern Italy, like Calabria or Sicily and shit?
It's very depressing because that's kind of most of that area. Because like the Mediterranean. Because think of Greece. They went bankrupt. Like the whole country. Riots.
Same way.
Beautiful country. Shithole. I mean, you don't like to think of tropical not necessarily tropical, but places like that as shitholes, but they kind of are.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a lot of the countries north of them are shitholes too. Like, I mean, Albania is kind of a shithole.
Yeah, you get to some of those weird.
There's like Balkan or whatever the fuck they're called.
Balkan countries.
Yeah, they're fucked up for the most part. Or
I
they
mean,
were
a lot
fucked
of that
up not too long ago.
A lot of the Balkan countries, I think it's because of failed Russian states, kind of like
the
USSR when they went down.
Yeah,
Soviet Union went down. It became
like right around the time the Soviet Union was collapsing, like Bosnia and Herzegovina, the civil war that went on there. That was all, That
goes all the way up to like Belarus. I mean, even the Ukraine's kind of shitty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to what we consider nice, I mean, I'm sure there's obviously nice parts everywhere, but I mean, you go to some of those countries, they are what we would consider kind of run down.
Yeah.
Not second world is what they call that.
Yeah, it's like middle of the road.
Remember when they had the Sochi Olympics and it was a dump?
Yeah, like either it was shitty not too long ago or it was real nice and is starting to get shitty.
Yeah.
That's kind of like where all of them fall right now. But like maybe in 20 years,
maybe
some of them will be fucking first world countries. I know.
Hopefully,
I don't know. Yeah,
that's what we'd like to see.
Yeah, but this last one, I mean, I don't even really know what the weird combination.
Well, you can read this one if you want. I read them all. This is an Irishman, I believe, Flannery O'Connor.
You can finish it off.
Number 10, A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor. I'm just not trying to slur my words. Blasphemy number... that's fail. Blasphemy number 3. Can it be true that towards the end of the extraordinary short story, for a brief moment, God incarnates himself in a prattling, selfish grandmother? Whoa, wait a minute. That for some reason God decides to become a direct witness to an individual's suffering. Oh, fuck, I hit something. Sorry, I highlighted a word. Oh, no! I clicked on a button and I went to a big picture of Jesus. and his abs are glorious. Holy fuck, I lost it.
Do you want me to finish reading it?
Yeah, I'm like literally on some. Oh, it sent me to their donation page.
Oh, really? Okay, so where was that? To an individual suffering, but not of the woman whose family has just been murdered and is about to be killed herself, but of the psychopath who, in this moment, realizes his distance from God.
Nice.
There are a few more moving lines in all literature than those spoken at the very end by grandmother. Few more moments more devastating when we realize it will make no difference. If God is dead, it's because the misfit shot him. I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Do you notice that most of these stories involve God being dead?
Yeah.
It's almost as if people are questioning the existence of God, but because of their upbringing or religious beliefs, they can't believe that God didn't exist to begin with, so they have to believe that he died or doesn't care about you anymore.
Right.
And that's worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because imagine some benevolent creature of some sort, some creator rather than creature. Creature sounds like a monster. So some benevolent creator who loves you no matter who you are and what you believe, unless you're gay, apparently, according to Christian Bible. But who loves you and cares about you, all of a sudden just stops caring.
Yeah.
Like, that would be like a parent disowning you for no reason.
Yeah.
Or maybe because your life choices, or maybe because something you had no choice in. Maybe you were born gay, and now what do? That would be horrible, because think about that. Like, gay people who were brought up in, like, an evangelical religion, a Christian religion, you're raised to believe that God hates you for how he made you be born? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, that's where shit kind of gets, like, fucked up with, because how do we know what we're reading is truly the word of God? I believe it is, but
history has shown that a lot of it's man-made because there was revisions.
Yeah, and like the Catholic Church leaving out more than half the fucking books that were actually written.
Again, they're in there. They have them. Release them.
So what's really in there?
That's one of these Area 51 idiots should storm.
Yeah,
don't storm Area 51. Storm the Vatican.
This shit about the Vatican. Like there's a girl disappeared in the Vatican in like 1980 something or 70s or 80s.
She's lost in the labyrinth, or
she's like 13. She was like 13 when she disappeared or some shit.
That doesn't sound good.
Somebody knew what happened and sent her parents like a clue of where. I don't know why. Like, why didn't you just go tell them where the fuck she was? Like, she got killed and was buried like in some plot of land in the Vatican. So, like, they're investigating this whole goddamn... They're investigating...
Wait, is that the story I just read about them finding a whole bunch of bones?
Yeah. My dad just told me about that.
It's fucked up. Was it like kids' bones, too?
Yeah. Because they were digging up that girl, and they found hundreds of...
Shit.
So...
Well, it makes sense.
That's where, like I said, I believe...
Disposing of evidence, probably.
Well, and obviously there's a major fucking issue going. Hey, maybe they found ancient fucking bones before it was built, but I highly doubt it. I mean, that would be,
Can I spit out a super hot take real quick?
Yeah, go.
What if the Catholic Church and most major religions were birthed by Satan? What if it was a means to control people? I think that's actually maybe like the, I don't know if it's the satanic religion, but something along those lines. There's a religion that believes that, I think, but like most modern religions stem from the devil taking over the religion to control people, which kind of makes sense, because if you want to control people, I think it would have probably more to do with politics and stuff like that, but that would be a way, but I'm sorry, that is some evil shit.
That's an interesting thought. I never thought about that before.
Either way, if you're like fucking priest, or not just diddling kids, but murdering them to, lose the evidence, that's fucked up.
I think a lot of these priests, number one, you can't get married, you can't have sex, you can't do it, you know what I mean? You can't do anything, and I think they become like fucking deranged. But also, it's like a control thing. I think a lot of them are control freaks. They need to be in charge of shit. They need to have this power over people, and that's where it starts. Not only are they judging the fuck out of you all the time and looking at you like you're fucking Satan. They're now they get into molesting kids and fucking obviously killing people.
Well, here's the thing though. If you're attracted to little boys, and I mean, I know this stems from a lot of times in religion, like Catholic religion, because I think they've done studies where if you get molested, you're more likely to become a molester. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's where a lot of these cardinals and priests and stuff stem from. But at some point, like, why did these priests start doing that at the beginning? Because it's not just not having a woman. You don't have sex for a long time with a lady. You're not just like, well, that little boy looks good.
Yeah,
like, that's not a thought that comes across your mind.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to say.
Maybe you seek it out.
Like, obviously, they've thought of it before.
Maybe it's like the Muslim religion with those dance boys or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like in the culture at some point, and then, you get into it because, like, oh, I'm into this. That's how I can do, disgusting things like that and get away with it. It's like a pedophile ring.
Even more fucked up that, like my entire family's Catholic, So, like, my grandparents would tell me, oh, you should be an altar boy. And I'd say, fuck no, I'm not being an altar boy.
I wouldn't.
You're out of your goddamn mind. And that's fucked up to say that because like, that shit happens. I'm not saying any of the priests did that shit to the churches I belong to, but I mean, you don't fucking know.
Dude, the one right in town got thousands of kids.
My dad was an altar boy there.
This is not a big fucking city. But it's not Pittsburgh. Like, what do we have? 50,000 people at most or something? Like, that's crazy that there was thousands of kids molested.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember any priest on my way getting that, but just all over the place. You know what I mean? Just like so close to home, and I think that's why like this time I'm just like, because I remember skipping church when I was younger and shit, but now it's like I'm purposely
you don't want to go. Yeah, I don't blame you.
No, because it's like it's fucking shameful. You know what I mean? Almost like it's not shameful to believe in God and shit. I'm just saying going because of that. They covered it up for hundreds of fucking years. This wasn't.
They're still getting away with it in a lot of places. Yeah, they just ship these cardinals to other places.
Yeah, just transfer them where. Oh yeah, all of a sudden they're gonna fucking stop after they've been a serial rapist for fucking 30 years. It's disgusting.
Yes,
makes you fucking sick.
But to turn things back to the discussion at hand, a couple books I would recommend for this list that weren't in that top 10, which was a fine top 10. Yeah. It's very good articles. The Guardian, so they're a little more professional.
Right.
I would include East of Eden by John Steinbeck. That was one of the few religious-themed books that really touched me because it was about the morals of not just man, but it was kind of like the Adam and Eve, not the Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel story.
Right.
He even used the names of, like, the character names would be C and A.
Okay.
Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
So, and then the mother was a whore, and but it was literally a full family's lifespan that was told in the story, and it was done so beautifully, and it was one of the most touching books I've read in a long time. It was definitely my favorite Steinbeck book. And it's apparently controversial for a lot of people. I'm not sure where the controversy lies. I didn't see anything that was demeaning towards religion or anything. But, because you think it's Steinbeck, you think of Grapes of Wrath, and trying to think what... Mice and Men would be another one, but that was I wouldn't say that was a full book. That was only like 100-something pages, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those are the works you mainly think of Steinbeck, but I think East of Eden was his masterpiece, personally.
Yeah.
Because I read almost all of his book. Winter of Discontent I haven't read yet, so that might be up there. But anyway, I would include that, and as we talked off air, the Divine Comedy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean...
Not just because you're Italian, because that's a fucking... I mean, that's
it's
kind
a
of
fucking masterpiece.
But I think it wasn't included on this because that almost falls into myth.
Well, that too, and because
like mythology.
I guess because like he's on like that. It's like rule in like the spiritual realm. You know what I mean?
Well, doesn't that have either Roman or Greek themes in it?
I want to say it's more Roman. Right?
Isn't it the... Maybe I'm confusing this with something else. I apologize if I do. I thought, like, when he goes through the layers of hell, what's his name? Dante Alighieri. Doesn't he, like, besmirch certain people from his time period
Yeah.
Into the thing, and I think they were like, generals or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think they were Roman, weren't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
He was very critical of Rome, I think.
I believe so.
I haven't actually read the Divine Comedy yet. I have it. I just haven't got to it.
Because I'm trying to remember, because I haven't read. I bought the one edition of it, and I still haven't.
Well, it's split, right? The Divine Comedy and Dante's Inferno, right?
Well, yeah, you're right. My bad.
Because the Dante's Inferno is his trip through hell.
Yeah.
I'm doing a very terrible job of fucking narrating this. I'm sorry, folks, but or explaining this rather. But I actually know the story. I watched a movie called. It's on Netflix. Actually, you should check this out. You'll really like it. It's a horror movie. Most people hated it because they didn't understand it.
Yeah.
It's about this explorer lady and these people. She gets these French. I forget what the term for them is, but they're like urban explorers. That's probably the term. But they explore the catacombs. She's looking for, I don't want to give away any story plot points, so I'll just say it's a religious relic. And she points it to the Paris catacombs. It's called, it's a fucking weird name. As Above, So Below, I think is the name of it. And she goes into it, and they go to the Paris catacomb, and all this fucking freaky shit happens.
Right.
But it's not just like ghosts and monsters and stuff like that. What it is it's Dante Inferno's story being told. They're going through the layers of hell.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they come out, and it's the reverse. Because that's how it ended, right? He comes out and is on the opposite side of the world or something like that. Something crazy. Not the opposite side of the world, but it's like he went down, and you can't go back up. You have to go down some more until you go up. It's something fucking weird.
Yeah, I get it.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But that's how this is told, and it's fucking excellent and has strong religious themes that aren't down your throat. Right. I think you'd really like that movie.
Yeah. What was it called again?
I think it's called As... You know what? I'm going to look it up because it's some of it's in French too. As Above... As Above, So Below. It's a 2014 film. It was on Netflix last time I watched it. But I think you'd really enjoy that. But it's pretty much the telling of Dante's Inferno in a modern lens. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Sorry, I had to type that in my phone, make sure, so I could check that out. But I felt like the Divine Comedy should be.
Yeah, that should have been. I don't know why that wasn't.
Maybe because it's so popular too. You know what I mean? Because it's.
I almost wanted to say it's on the basis. It's on the kind of level of the Odyssey or the Iliad. Because wasn't that a poetic? Wasn't it written in poem form too? That's probably why it wasn't. Because
they were like, the Iliad and Odyssey were considered like epic poems. Mm-hmm. I believe is
they were epics.
And those things are fucking masterpieces. But anyway, I think that's because it was in poem form. Dante wrote it in.
That's one of the reasons why I haven't got to reading it too, is because you have to be in the right mind frame for that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I could see why they might have, he might have left that off this list. But I think East Eden should have been on there. I don't know why that wasn't.
Yeah,
because that was, unless it's not classical enough for him, because they didn't say the dates for the. No, because Anthony Burgess was on there, and he was definitely more modern.
A lot of them were like late 1800s.
Yeah, but Anthony Burgess was...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I don't know...
But I know a few of those books, because I wouldn't consider that, like 1800s, I wouldn't consider that too fucking, like...
I mean, it's classic literature, but I wouldn't say that's... the list wasn't classic literature, it was just literature. So.
Right.
I'm trying to think of some other novels that I can include on that list, but I'm not quite sure. I was trying to think of some Hemingway, but I mean, he might have religious themes in some of his, but I wouldn't classify any of his work as being overtly religious of any means. Maybe East of Eden wasn't included on the list because these seem to be directly about God or the lack of God,
right? And
I feel like East of Eden was more a telling, like I said, of Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
So maybe but it was very strong religious themes, obviously. I mean, the fucking name of the book is East of Eden.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the list. There's a lot of shit to get reading, though, for me. You know what I mean? I got it.
I'd like to say I'm going to read them all, but I'm probably not.
No, what I'm definitely reading, though, is the Earthly Powers one. That's probably going to be the first one I read, and then... What was the other one I like? The brothers,
Karamazov.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see. Here's my problem. Because completely divert from religion. I'm reading The Shining, and then I'm gonna read Doctor Sleep because the Doctor Sleep movie, which is the sequel to The Shining, is coming out in November. So I want to read both of those because as much as I talk about Stephen King, I actually haven't read a lot of his work.
Okay.
So I'm reading those. But after that, I got the I always forget this fucking word. Trichology, a series of 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the word, but it's Yukio Mishima's Sea of Fertility series. I read the first one, and it was excellent. So I finally ordered the other. I talked about this on a previous podcast. I ordered the other 3, so I'm probably going to read those back to back to back.
Right.
And then once I'm done with that, I want to jump into Anna Karenina. And see, here's my problem though, because October comes around, I want to finish that Poe collection we were talking about too.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's just too much fucking reading to do. Like, I don't have enough time.
Dude, there's so much.
I wish I was a superb speed reader with photogenic memory.
I got so many fucking books that I need to read, but I just haven't had time. Right, lately, you know.
If I didn't have a job.
Yeah, exactly. If I could sit around all goddamn day, yeah. But
I write too, so that's another problem. Like, I try to write stuff and then read. And
I haven't wrote in a while.
You need to get on that.
Yeah, no. I need to get back into it. Because I don't want to lose it, you know what I mean? It's easy to lose.
You definitely lose. You get rusty.
Yeah.
And then you just hate everything you do, and it gets so hard to get started again.
That happened to me a few months ago. I tried writing something, and I was just fucking blanking so bad. And I was like, fuck this. I got frustrated, but I got to get out of it.
Yeah.
I got to get on that website, that Trello site.
Yeah, you got to get on
I haven't been on that motherfucker in a while.
It makes me feel bad. We haven't updated that in forever because me and Spencer have been doing other projects.
Yeah.
We definitely haven't been updated. Yeah, actually, this is a good segue to end this episode because we're almost 2 hours, the longest episode we ever had. Folks, if you want to hit us up, you can go to drunkenpenwriting.com. We have a contact page, and we are now accepting donations, which go to not just funding the site and the wonderful podcast you're listening to, but future projects and a current project we are working on, which is a horror anthology. You will enjoy that, trust me. So check out the donations page. You can hit us up on Twitter at drunkpenwriting. You can go to Facebook at drunkenpenwriting, and we might respond to you. Maybe not. I need to hire a guy for that. I don't like to pay attention. We have a Goodreads page, which somebody moderates. That's not me. And then you can go to Instagram and look up Big Fat Booties. We're not on there, but I just implore you to look up Big Fat Booties because that's what we do. And
gotta do it.
Thank you for listening. Like I said, Mr. Dominick Welsh, our special guest today.
Thanks for having me, man.
You are welcome, and I hope you jump on some episodes in the future here.
Sorry if we got too far off topic a few times.
Well, the tequila helps with that, but yeah. I wanted a more serious episode, though, for our listeners, because usually we try to keep things light, but you guys, you get craving this serious episode, so we're giving it to you. Anyway, you have a wonderful evening, or morning, day, I don't know where you are. We have listeners in South Africa, India, Istanbul. I think there's one guy in the Ukraine. His name is Raji. It sounds like Indian, but he's not. I don't know. He sends us dick pics all the time, asks to see our vagine and bobs. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, Raji, if you're listening, shout out to you. Check you folks later. See you later.